I want to thank each and every one of you for coming here. I know there's many of us who live in Lakewood, but many of us who unfortunately don't live in Lakewood. And I appreciate the tircha that everybody took to come here, especially b'shem the whole Vaad. We have to give a tremendous yasher koyach to the Mashgiach, Shlit, and the Rebbitzin who opened up their house, l'chavit, this mesiba. And as you can all see, it's a tremendous mesilas nefesh for both of them. And I think the Vaad should feel particularly flattered and at the same time feel a responsibility that of all the wonderful moisdis that the Mashgiach is involved in, that he chose this one to make a mesiba for. So for that we're very, very grateful, and the Ebshter is helping that the Bnei Shloim should give the koyach lashes choyel to the Mashgiach and his Rebbitzin to continue doing many, many mitzvahs and leading Klal Yisroel as we so desperately need it. I also want to thank Mordechai Levi, who was very instrumental in getting this here tonight. Everybody, shkoyach is always necessary and welcome. Just one very brief vart I want to say, which is good evening. You didn't come to hear me speak, but I think I heard a vart this week. It's a pity my brother's supposed to be it. I heard it from his son, my nephew, my brother's son, he said a beautiful vart from the Tiska Magid. In this week's parasha, we have all the musafim, and you have the musafim of Sukkot. And Sukkot, there's many karbanos, 14, 13, 12, all the musafim, you bring 70 musafim, which are all connected to Umas Olam. Then at the very end of the whole parasha of Musaf, you have Shmini Atzeres. V'yoyim hashmini Atzeres ti alochem, kom lech l'avad l'sasu v'ktaftem. It says at the end, par echad ayel echad. A very small, edel carbon, par echad ayel echad. And Rashi says, everybody knows this Rashi, Eilu keneged Yisroel. The par echad ayel echad were no more busy with Umas Olam, only for Klal Yisroel. Shem echad la'kadosh baruch hu. And it as so. Where's the Rashi? It's as if the Bnei Shloim tells Klal Yisroel, "Loshen chib kubanim haniftarim me'aviem." You have children who come to their parents for yontif, and now they're about to leave. V'hu oimer lahem kosh alai pridaschem. It's so difficult for me that you're all departing now. Ikvu oid yom echad. Stay on one more day. So that's what it says. Sudi Katana, and that's Shmini Atzeres. Now, if you think about it, what it should have said, instead of saying Kosher Lai Pridaschem, it should have said Kosher Lai Predasenu, because two friends are parting, and each one is going his separate way. So it should have said Kosher Lai Predasenu. Why Pridaschem? So Tiska Magid says, it says the Bnei Shloim is not troubled by the fact that you're separating from him, Chas v'Shalom, because that never happens. But Gans Klal Yisrael came together. They were all together in the Beis Hamikdash for Aliyah L'Regel. And it was such an achdus of Gans Klal Yisrael together. And now that everybody's going their separate ways, everybody's going home, it's kosher lai pridaschem, that all of you are separating from each other. That's what's bothering the Bnei Shloim. So say that's what like parents, children who come to a father, he's so happy that they're all together. And now they are separating. Not that they're separating from the Bnei Shloim, that you yourselves are separating from each other. I think it's very appropriate over here also. The Mashgiach is making a Suda Katana. Why? Because Kosher Lai Pridaschem. Because the people, Ani B'Soicham, we departed from the Vaad. We're not so close to the Vaad as we used to be. We're not as energetic. We're not as idealistic. We're not doing as much as we could. And Kosher Lai Pridaschem. So we made tonight this Suda Katana to reinvigorate, to bring everybody back, and we should start and start the school year. We can't start the school year without having a commitment to be able to pay salaries. It's just plain not fair. We take people from Eretz Yisrael, from all over the place, we bring them to Tbilisi and to Baku, which is 100 miles from nowhere, and if you don't pay them properly, it's a terrible achrayus. And you're taking away from other panosis. We have to know that we have a commitment to these people. That's the purpose of tonight's meeting, the Suda Katana that Mashgiach is making for Kosher Lai Pridaschem, and everybody should take a lesson from this and come together. So, without further ado, I want to be mechabed Mashgiach to say divrei bracha l'koved the mesiba.
I have to thank you for speaking so well on my behalf. Kosher Library Rasram is a very apt word. It's been too long that we've been separated from each other. It's not as if I'm anticipating that we're going to separate like in Lhatzolas, but here we've already left each other for a long time. And we have to create new bonds and make a new commitment, each one of us. Vaad Lhatzolas Nidchei Yisroel. I mentioned before, at one time the letters were going out from Russia and Poland to see the Nidchei Yisroel who are in Europe. Chavetz time, and before that. And now the Rebbeinu Shalom has turned the tables. The tables are turned. Torah is in Europe, Baruch Hashem. Shmiras HaMitzvos is in Europe. And it's only when we come and we try to impress them with what we've been taught ourselves, that the people are ready to receive instruction, ready to receive guidance in a way of life. I think it's very, very important. I don't know how one brings it to the notice of the world, but there's a time when the whole world was nervous about what's going to happen with Russian Jewry, and it seems that nervosity dissipated. Nobody's worried anymore. We were witness to see how Torah was nearly forgotten in so many different places. They didn't know anything about Torah. They didn't know anything about Yom Tovim. They didn't know anything about Shabbos. I think I once said, I'm sure amongst our group, that communism is a Gzeirah Shemad. It goes down in history as one of the most successful Gzeirah Shemad that the guy made. To what extent they managed to let everybody forget their heritage. And by Hashem Yisborach, we were able to bring that back to him. And I think we have to not just say Kosher Library Tasrim. We have to say there's not going to be any parade anymore. We're going to stay bound together, I hope, with publications and with the new staff. We should be kept updated and in touch the whole time with what's going on. And the simchas that are going on. It's Baruch Hashem. It's already a chosher chelik of Klal Yisroel that has been touched by the Vaad. And we hope that they continue and in a successful way and are able to give us a lot of service. We have here a copy of the Baku document, which was signed by everybody present at the time. I don't think we should make a new one. We don't need to make a new document, but we have to know that we have already committed ourselves, and that commitment remains. Be'ez Hashem Yisborach. We should still be zoiche to help whatever help they need in other parts of the world. I think that's all I want to say for the time being.
I've had the opportunity to witness the Vaad's work. I've been to these cities maybe 12, 15 times in the past 15 years. I've seen the Vaad's work in many other cities besides what we have right now. We have yeshivas in Baku, Azerbaijan, Tbilisi, Georgia. We've been in Kishinev, we've been in St. Petersburg. And the Vaad, over the years, since Rav Mordechai's days, what you saw was actual, by the way, that really was KGB video, that they videoed him actually teaching Torah to the refuseniks back in the 80s. I can stand here and talk with mixed emotions. The successes are unbelievable. I've been to numerous weddings of our Talmidim, boys from our yeshivas who have married girls from our yeshivas. Right now, in our kindergarten in Tbilisi, we have already the second generation of our students. We have students in the school whose parents went to our schools, became Shari Torah Mitzvahs, got married, and set up Jewish homes in their hometown. The situation in these cities right now is that the people are not looking to leave. Nobody wants to emigrate. In fact, we have many families that have gone to Eretz Yisrael and have come back a few years later. The life over there wasn't the golden Medina that was originally promised them when they went. And so the people that are there are staying. And the Jewish community is not shrinking, except in one area. In our school in Azerbaijan, over there the problem is a little worse. We have about 100 Talmidim there. The far majority, one estimate 90%, but let's say it's not 90%. Either way, the number is horrifying. Most of our students have Goyish fathers, most of them Muslims. And for some Hashgacha Pratis, somehow these Muslim fathers, Azerbaijan is not really a religious country. They present themselves as a very secular country, but they are Arabs. And they're masking to send their children to our yeshivas, and it's unbelievable. And we have now recently over there, we started now a Shabbos program where we have somebody donated a bunch of rooms in a local hotel. We have about 15 or so boys that come every single Shabbos to live in the hotel so that they could eat kosher food, they can go to Minyan, they could spend some time together, be mechazik the Yiddishkeit. The challenge is obviously of educating Jewish children in a home where there's there's no Torah mitzvahs or Shabbos or Kashrus or anything else is obviously a very difficult task. But the success rate is unbelievable. Between 30 and 50% of all of our graduates are completely Shomer Torah mitzvahs, Shomer Shabbos. They get married to frum people. Many go to Eretz Yisrael to learn in yeshiva, and they return to build their homes in these communities that we support. The dramatic days, like the Mashgiach mentioned, of when Soviet Jewry was a cause, and when it was exciting, when you had to sneak in tefillin in suitcases, and the KGB was videoing every move, and it was very dramatic. Right now, the drama's all gone. We have no problem davening. We had a minyan for mincha in the Kremlin. The Yiddishkeit is not a problem. Our yeshiva in Baku, Azerbaijan, is actually in a public school, and it's given to us for free by the government. And they say, here, make your yeshiva, teach the students your tradition. It's really a wonderful thing that we have the freedom to be able to do this unbelievable work. The problem is, though, as it always is that unfortunately over the years, the joy of seeing all the Hatzlacha, the joy of going to the chasanas, is unfortunately I've had to witness the decline of our activities. Not due to demographics, there are some cities where we've ceased to do our work because there just wasn't a demand for it anymore. But unfortunately in other cities I've seen the decline of our work simply because there's just not enough money. We had Karalim in cities that we had to downsize. We just didn't have the money for it. We had a yeshiva in St. Petersburg. We closed it. There was just no money for it. Right now in Tbilisi, where our enrollment in the upper grades of the school is steadily dropping because our facilities just don't meet the standards of what the people are used to. These are not backward third world countries anymore. The kids have cell phones and iPods, and the public schools are in modern buildings with athletic facilities. When we built our building in our Tbilisi yeshiva, it was state of the art. And we gave lunch, and the school had a computer, and that was all you needed. Everybody came running, and we taught English, and that was all you needed. Everybody came running because you gave lunch, and you had a computer, and you taught English, and that was the ticket to success. Unfortunately, that doesn't work anymore. We are far outclassed by the regular public schools that are in the city. They have beautiful buildings and athletic facilities, and our building is the same building that Barry Hertz bought. I don't know how long ago it was. It just doesn't do it anymore, and we're having a harder and harder time with enrollment. What we did is we rented a modern building for our kindergarten and our primary grades, and right now we have over 30 children in kindergarten. Which, I mean, imagine if you have 30 kids coming in kindergarten and graduating through a school. Unfortunately, if we don't have a building for them, they're not proceeding upwards. They're coming for the kindergarten, they're staying for the primary year, and then the first year, and then they say, okay, where's the next class? And then we show them the building, and they look and they say, I'm sorry, they're just not they're not ready to do that. So also our base of supporters has steadily diminished over the years. The Vaad never made a lot of noise. I don't think you've ever seen a Vaad Chinese auction or any kind of all these kind of events and things that people are doing. And there was a small group of core supporters who provided bulk of the Vaad's operating budget. And over the years, unfortunately, that pool of a small group of supporters has been steadily diminishing, and we're finding it a harder and harder time. We're behind in our payroll. Our shlichim haven't gotten paid in about 4 months. And while I'm saying that, as was mentioned before, the Mesiras Nefesh of these people that we have over there is unbelievable. Unbelievable. What they put up with, the living conditions that they put up with, the financial struggle that we put up with. I get calls almost every day that the bus drivers are going on strike, we want to close the mikveh, and all kinds of
drastic, dramatic situations. Send money, send money, send money. And I'm not the one that has to deal with the bus drivers or the teachers or the cooks. Even though one time I was there with Ephraim and the bus drivers came and ganged up on us and said, "You're not leaving here." They said it in a little bit nicer words, but they said, "You're not leaving here till we get money." So what they're putting up with over there is unbelievable. And not that we're paying that much money, but they have a commitment to the Eden in their hometowns. Our staff is actually, a lot of it, are graduates of our own institutions from 20 years ago, the yeshivas that we originally founded in these cities. And they're coming back to their hometown. They want to give back to the organization that brought them to Yiddishkeit in the first place. So right now, the junction that we're standing in right now, unfortunately, is that we're not sure if we're going to open up our yeshivas next year. In Tbilisi, we probably could because we have a piece of real estate that we're trying to sell. We can maybe get some money to squeeze by for one more year. In Baku, we just don't have the money. And it got to a point where the staff is saying, we're not going to do this anymore. Every year we're late, you promise us, and it's going to be better, and it's going to be good, and we're doing this, and we're doing that. And unfortunately, when the year comes by, they have to, their Mesiras Nefesh is enough without having the money problems, what they have to put up with, the work that they're doing. To have the daigas, the worry of getting a paycheck months and months and months later is not something I could even ask him to deal with. I can't even beg him, please stay. I feel foolish. How do you say that? What do you say? Stay anyways, even though we're not paying you? There's no words to answer. I could just listen on the phone and correspond back and forth, but there's very little reassurance I could give them to say that we're going to be able to open next year. And it came to a head where they're saying, I'm sorry, unless you can tell me that you have the money in the bank, that you can fund us through the school year, then we're going back to Eretz Yisrael, and whatever happens, happens. But unfortunately, that's the sad story that we're trying to end that story right now, and bring it to a new chapter. The best way for me to show anybody over here what's happening over there is to take you there. Many of you here have been on trips in the past, in previous years, and everybody comes back inspired, but if it's been quite a few years and the effect wears off. On one day's notice, I will travel with anybody here to go visit our Moistus in Tbilisi and in Azerbaijan. And you see these video clips. I've been, the people, the characters in that video are sitting here in this room right now. This is it's not a production. We were all there, many of us, and actually witnessed what's going on, and it still is going on. And as Hashem, with all your help, we'll be able to continue.
If you see there's the budget on the table, our annual budget is a little over $700,000 a year. In order for us to open up this year, we want to raise $350,000. At least we know half of our budget is covered, and we'll raise the rest of it for the rest of the year. So tonight is the kickoff of this fundraiser. Baruch Hashem, we have some very nice pledges so far. Who wants to call out the pledges so far? Yaki Samet. So even if you wrote a check, don't be ashamed to double it. You mind if I say names? We have to name some names. Avi Strong, $30,000. Now this truth of the matter is, he's given a lot more than that, but I'm only counting the lead up to this event, so that's $30,000. Avram Reeder, $20,000. Mashgiach Hassenfeld, $25,000. Laser Shiner, $20,000. Reuven Wolf, $10,000. Itchy Rosenbaum, $10,000. Yossi Friedlander, $10,000. Before I go to the next slide, anybody else, $10,000? Ray Haber, $10,000. Yoshna Shekoyach. Anybody else? Barry Hertz, $10,000. Shkoyach. Moshe Mendelowitz of Lakewood, $10,000. Yoshna Shekoyach. Anybody? Motke Neustadt. Reb Motke Neustadt, founder of the Moised, $10,000. Go further. Shimon Lefkowitz, $5,000. Anybody, $5,000? $5,000. Hershey Frankel, $5,000. It's Shikoyach. Anybody? You can tell me later also. It doesn't have to be in public. Shmuel Reeder, $5,000. And then Yehuda Yafi, $3,600. That's what I have so far. And Rabbi said this should grow. It should be part of over. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule, but I don't think anybody minds. And Olam can eat something, and then we should daven Marav as soon as we can. What time is it? Can we daven already?